call this meeting to order. This is the regular meeting for the Livingston Parish Ordinance Committee for Tuesday, May 19th, 2020. Ms. Lauren, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Mack?
Here.
Mr. King?
Here.
Mr. Talbert?
Here.
Mr. Grillinghouse?
Here. All right. Before we get to item 3, I wanted to go over a few things with you guys. We're going to try to stay on, we don't have much of a crowd tonight, but we're just going to try to stay on Robert's rules as hard as we can. Don't overtalk each other. That goes, whoever has the floor has the floor. Respect that. Let them speak. Write down if you have a question. I know sometimes it's difficult because something pops in your head and you want to say it right then. But try to refrain from that. Having said that, I think this is the committee where you discuss out things to where we have something to send to the council. So I don't want to squash free discussion because that's kind of where it falls in. So I know I seem like I'm giving conflicting orders here, or conflicting rules, but at the same time, I have in my mind how I want it to go. So we're going to try it from there, but just a little bit of order and just be respectful of who's speaking, and we'll go from there. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Item 3, review, discussion, recommendations of ordinance and new business discussions of Chapter 58, Roads and Drainage, Article 1. In general, Section 13, criteria for accepting existing roads into the parish maintenance system of the Code of Ordinances in and for the parish of Livingston. We'll go with item B, I guess, item A first. So I think this came about, there are certain roads in the parish that don't have enough right-of-way or servitude, and they don't have a turnaround. Essentially, I guess it started off as just, a driveway, and then over time, you've got 8, 10, 12, some up to 20 more houses on it. These are roads that we can't necessarily bring into the overlay program because they'll never meet the code in order to be over. They're not wide enough, and over time, you get, and you can interrupt if I'm saying something you don't think. Over time, the houses get sold off, they get mortgaged, and it becomes impossible to get that property in order to get the right-of-ways and the servitudes, to put down drainage or widen the road in order to bring it up to standard. So we've kind of left in a situation where we have roads that we can't really do anything with because they won't meet standards. So we were thinking of creating a subset to where we could bring these roads in, and so we could actually go do a courtesy grade. If they need a little gravel, we can put some gravel down. We can help maintain the roads that are that can at some point are very difficult to bring up to standard. I think that was what Councilman Delat has concern in his district. I think we all do, not so much in my district, but I know in a lot of you guys' districts. So that was the discussion is for, and I open the floor to anybody.
Yeah, well, I've got a little bit different situation in my district. I have mostly developments that were developed as private roads. Some of them have enough right-of-way and drainage, but no room for a turn at the end. There may be a little short in length, but as a gravel road, they would make a perfect gravel road if they were maintained and taken in by the parish maintenance system. Mathern Place off of Dunn Road and Cochise off of Netterville are two that I get the most calls about needing courtesy grades, or can you put any rock? Well, we can't put rock. It's, we can come grade it a couple times a year. These are taxpayers, of course.
Absolutely.
And I know Randy had brought up the road down in his district. Shane's got a bunch of different roads, but mostly mine are these developed roads with Mathern has 12 houses, really nice, fancy houses. Plenty of right-of-way, drainage, no turn at the end. Can we make a subset that if they meet most of the criteria for maintaining them, can we waive some of those things? That's something that now I think we need to look at.
Well, maintaining them, I wouldn't, in my opinion, it wouldn't be a problem. You could take it into the system and maintain it.
Just never
And
upgrade
just
it.
don't upgrade it until they meet the standard for an overlaid road.
Okay.
In which case, that would be a turn. There's
Turn
got to
it
be a
in,
turn there.
certain width? Yep.
So, if there's, like you said, there's what, how many?
Oh, well, there's like 12 or 14
Yeah, I mean,
really nice houses on one road, and there's 12 or 14 trailers on the other road. It actually has the road goes back, has a turnaround at the end, but there's no way you can get a 50 or 60 foot right of way on Cochise.
Yes.
But the road is horrendous. We have taxpayers living on the road. I understand the plight of these people, but we should never upgrade their roads because they bought on a substandard road.
Or if they ever meet the standard. And to be clear,
Right.
This is what we're not talking about bringing them in.
No,
If I haven't been clear on that
just
yet.
in the maintenance as a
Just
gravel
bringing
road.
in the maintenance, we can spend a minimal amount of money. We can legally go on there and grade these roads, maybe put some gravel down or some crushed concrete or something.
Right.
Like as you said, these are taxpayers. They are paying taxes, but they bought on a road that we cannot overlay as
That's right.
it is because of the width, the no turnaround. And so that's really what the discussion is about. I wouldn't have a problem with that. These are things that we need to figure out a system to where we can bring them in to just to be maintained.
For just a basic
Yeah,
need.
it's minimal expense
Yeah,
in the scheme of things.
Yeah. So then you wouldn't need waivers. We would make the subset
That's
say, if
absolutely
it
right.
met this, then we can take it into parish maintenance so that,
Yeah, it can
I mean,
be.
you can lose my truck in one of the holes on Cochise.
And I believe there needs to be a minimum.
No, Gary's got some.
Well, go ahead, Mr. Tyler.
No, go ahead, y'all finish. I mean,
Yeah, we have to have a minimum of base and different things. And,
Sure.
Yeah.
So,
We don't want to spend $30,000 a year on a little gravel road. But at the same time,
I mean, most of it, short of putting gravel down, will just be time.
right.
You go out there and you put a tractor on it.
Well, they put the road grader on it, which they have to do on different roads that are already in the maintenance system.
Yes.
I've talked to Mr. Sam about it many times. He goes, it's not a big deal for us to go hit that road, throw a little rock on it,
Yes.
if it was in the system. Right now, they can go hit it, but if there's no rock there, what are you grading? Dirt. So as soon as it rains,
Yeah.
you're back in the same boat. Anyhow,
look, I understand what y'all saying, but I've been pretty consistent
You
throughout
have.
the whole deal. Those people knew what they were buying when they bought. And they took a discount on their lot because they bought on a road that didn't meet the standard. They knew they were responsible for the maintenance of that road when they bought and chose to live there. And I wonder sometimes, for those of us who bought on a road that, was developed to meet a particular standard and paid whatever we paid, because trust me, as somebody that's been involved in a subdivision development in the past, you pass those costs on. I mean,
Oh, yeah, I know.
what did it, how much does it cost to develop a road to meet the standard? And if you've got 10 lots and you have to pass those costs on through those lots versus just to lay some gravel down and say, so, I mean.
But, go ahead, sorry.
So, I
I'm
mean, I think that's the concern that I've had from day one on, doing this thing. Look, I understand there's a public safety issue that we need to address. However, it is difficult to know that those people knew what they were doing when they bought that. And then now we're gonna bail them out because they, as a group, are not maintaining their road. I mean, they knew what they were doing when they bought it. They, as a group, I don't know how many people live on Cochise, 10?
Well, there's at least 12. I think there's 14 trailers.
Those-
It's a trailer development.
What about the other one you were talking about?
On Mathern, yeah, they do too. Also,
I mean,
yeah,
so,
for sure.
my question
Yeah.
is, if you got,
Well-
like in Mathern, you got 10 big old fancy houses, why they not contributing to
Well,
to fix the
here's the
road?
problem, Gary, is that these people were told by developers, after we build the fifth house, the parish will take it in and maintain it.
If you go look at the plat, that's
And
not what
and
the
it
plat
says
says.
specifically on the plats, and that's what I've been telling them for 4.5 years. It says specifically never to be taken into parish maintenance.
Okay,
And that's another, you know,
Mr. Mack? Did you have something to say?
I just was wanting to say just a few things,
Go
just to
ahead.
get involved in the conversation there. I was just looking at the ordinance and, you know, I just kind of wanted to go over a few parts of it, you know, to see, you know, why we're not able to accept certain roads into the parish maintenance system and stuff. It's pretty well written. I mean, it talks about, you know, type A, concrete street or road, type B, asphalt concrete, or three-course, what is that? Bituminous surface treatment street or road, and then type C, gravel street or road. And then it lists some criteria there, you know, for the different types, which, and it's looking, you know, looking pretty good here. I was looking at type C, which was the gravel roads, you know, and it talks about roads meet the following criteria. Priority acceptance by the parish council. Refer to section 125-17C. Do we have a copy of that?
I can get
What
it.
does 125-17C say? See right there, under section 58-6, type C roads, it says type C
Yeah.
streets or roads must meet the
it
following.
doesn't- it's got all the ordinances and codes, but we don't have a list of it. She's probably gonna go grab it for us.
Okay. And
Yeah,
then,
that's important to know.
yeah, and then it talks about, let's see, copies of resurfacing specification. When a road is bid off to be resurfaced, each council member and the road superintendent shall receive a copy of the specs. Talks about drainage any street or road regardless of the class thereof accepted by the parish council for maintenance must be constructed in such a manner that drainage facilities are sufficient to keep the road bed dry. All ditches, culverts, and bridges must be sufficient size and character to satisfactorily drain the road and street area. I mean, that's pretty, that's a good, I mean, I don't have no problem with it. Let's see, when they say road signs, cul-de-sacs. It talks about a cul-de-sac. All dead-end streets or roads over 600 feet long or to have a turnaround suitable in size to accommodate a school bus. Which,
They determined
Take a
that,
look
they
at that.
determined
I
that
think-
if the road's longer than 600, the kid's too far from the kid's a walk. So the bus gotta come pick them up. If it's under 600, they can walk to the main
so it's
street.
gotta have a way for the bus to turn around, which is
Sure.
good. Let's see, permit, let's see, it talks about culverts, it's all about drainage. And then it goes to utilities, and then it gets to 58-13.
And that was the new one that was put in.
And that's the criteria for accepting existing roads into the parish maintenance system.
And that's what we're working.
And that's what we're working on here. Of course, we want to see what that other says, whatever 125-17C says, but it talks about having 5 residential structures, which,
Makes sense.
that makes sense,
Sure.
you know?
Well, I'm gonna be honest, but, you know, we took a road in, or we're in the process of taking a road in that's being built to a facility for the sheriff's office, got 0 residents on it.
There's one. Along the parish road going to it, if you
And-
count that as an extension.
And there was a
of it.
valid reason to take that road in, you know?
But I'm saying.
But he's
but
just
that-
gonna say
So
that-
we gave a waiver for that one, you know, but
Right.
typically, we
Well, because it
typically
was
follow that
servicing
5.
our own facility, I mean, you know.
Oh, yeah, but typically we follow that 5 residential structures in
Right,
place,
right,
you know,
okay.
so I mean, I think that would ought to stay, I mean,
Oh, I
it
did-
talks about gravel roads with open ditches need a 60-foot right of way, I mean, I don't see where we need to change that, I mean, unless you wanna give a waiver,
Well,
I mean,
but,
you
I
think
mean-
about it, I mean, I don't know, how do y'all feel about that one?
I don't
That's
think
what
we
he
should
was
change
talking
any
about.
of this.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as if you, in the sense of, if you want to bring a road into the maintenance system for future reference, none of this should really change. All we're talking about is existing roads that are gravel, and we're talking about overlaying them, we're talking about bringing them in and just to maintain them.
So let's don't mess that
I was
up, make a
just-
subset
I mean,
that says what
Shane,
we want to
technically,
say.
technically
Well,
right
I mean, I was
now,
thinking this. This is just what I was thinking. I mean,
Okay?
I was wanting to talk about this here, you know, but we really don't have to talk about overlaying right now because it's a totally different process.
Right,
Right.
that's what I'm
This
saying.
one- We're not gonna mess with that.
No.
That's perfect.
That's
I
what-
like it. It's not
Is that what
perfect.
you were
We
saying,
will.
Tracy? I saw.
Yeah, I know, what we're saying is,
Thank you, Mayor.
I don't want to lower the criteria for a road to be overlaid.
No.
Further, what I want to do is,
And I don't think we're trying to do that.
no,
right
we're
now.
not, no. What we're
Thank you.
trying to do is just say, look, can we bring in this, okay, in reality, a lot of it starts off like this. And I'll just explain to you in the back. Someone has 50 acres.
Yeah.
And they cut off a piece for their niece, and then somehow everyone inherits a piece of property, and they build. You wind up with 15 houses on essentially a driveway. Well, now people sell their house, they move on, they pass away, and other people move in, and so now you got basically a driveway that has 10, 15, 20, sometimes as much as 30 people on it, a long road. But it was never, no thought was put into how much servitude should we put when we put this driveway down. So people mortgage when they go in, they take that piece of land, they mortgage against it, and there goes all the way to the road. It's a servitude we'll never get because they're not gonna put a road on it. They're not gonna allow it. So that's a thing going forward. I was talking of doing, to where other discussion. But all I want to be able to do is take a road that's gravel, that's named, and be able to go in there and grade that road legally, maybe put some gravel down legally, and maintain it for people who are paying taxes, have been paying into the system. They won't get it overlaid until they meet this criteria, and they probably never will. But should that keep them out of the system completely forever? I don't think so. I mean, you're talking about a minimal amount of money to go in there and, in the scheme of things, to go put a courtesy grade on their road and maybe put a little gravel down and call it good. I mean, you understand that what they go, how come we can't overlay? Well, the road's not wide enough. You don't have a turnaround. There's a laundry list of things that you probably might meet some of, don't meet some of the others. And until you meet that, it can never be considered for overlay. So really, all I want to do is just,
Okay, so
fix a gravel road for somebody for people who live on, you have multiple people who live on that one road that probably at one time was a driveway, but now there's multiple houses down that road.
he wants to make
Appreciate
it
that.
legal to go grab.
So
I just want to make it legal to go grade their road.
So Lauren brought 120. What was it? 120. What was it? 125 17C.
Mm-hmm.
It's the exact duplicate of section 58-13 criteria for accepting existing roads into the parish maintenance system.
Okay.
Right.
So just to clarify that, but so we could go back to 5813. I mean, and just look at them. I mean, so right now we're not talking about overlay. We're just talking about accepting roads into the parish maintenance system. 5 residential structures. Are we comfortable with that? I mean,
You talking about to take the gravel, to make a subset for the gravel?
Well,
I
that
don't
would- I
think
think that would
any of
apply.
that is gonna work.
I think that applies to any road. But I mean, if we want to change that, we could talk
Well,
about that.
we do
Go ahead.
We do need to have some type of 5, 6, 10, 4, whatever it would be. But what if it is a road that meets all of them but one? Okay, let's say we change it, make a subset, and then you got somebody comes along with one in it. Do we waive and look at it and say, well, that makes sense? Why that's not like that?
Well, that's every ordinance.
It could be,
I mean,
because you
yeah.
can't make a perfect ordinance.
No.
There's always gray, as Gary said he found out a few years ago. That
Yeah,
gray's
the
rough.
world was black and white till you're elected, then it becomes gray as all
Grayer,
get out.
grayer.
And, you know, I didn't look at the definition of road or street or anything like that, but I mean, you would think that if you had 5
It'd be a road.
separate residential structures,
Makes sense. Yep.
people paying taxes, you could call it a road.
Could call it a road.
Well, but, okay, but let's look at, I want to talk about a different point of view, because I've
Okay.
heard some discussion about, you know, requiring, you know, certain things to happen if people want to do something. Like, I'm in the process of buying 6 3/4 acres, you know, in Watson, you know, and it's got a little old house on it, and we're gonna remodel the house, and I'm gonna move from house I live in now to that. And we're buying this because, you know, I've got 3 children that, you know, I'd like for them to, you know, raise their family in Watson, so we're gonna look at, you know, creating spots for them to live. But I'm gonna have to put a servitude to get back to these sections if I can't make them touch the highway, you know what I'm talking about?
Mhm.
But I don't wanna be forced into making that, you know, giving that to the parish. You know what I'm saying? Cause I don't want parish maintenance. You know what I'm talking about?
Then don't.
Well, I mean, I just heard somebody talking about, you know, if we subdivide, you subdivide and put a house on it, then all of a sudden your driveway becomes a road. I don't
No.
want that.
Your driveway, I'm sorry, I'm breaking my own rule, but I think it's important. Your driveway, when you put another house on it, has the potential to become a road in the future.
Well, and I agree, but, and I'm gonna be honest with you, we've looked at this, you know, piece of property, and, you know, we're looking about, you know, where can we place people so that we can create a situation, you
Mhm.
know, that we abide by. It's on a state highway, so consequently, you know, the access is gonna be limited. You can't just put driveways everywhere all over the place, you know, you gotta go get permits, and they limit access to, you know, pieces of property, and so you might wanna be able to get one driveway, and you gotta figure out how to make everything come off of one driveway initially, and so, you know, but I don't want the parish coming in and saying, oh, well, you're gonna cut a piece of property out for your kid, all of a sudden you gotta create a servitude
No,
and put this
I don't
road in
think
it.
we would
Well, I mean, I
ever
just-
do
that's
that, make
the
it
only
where
thing I
you
wanna
had
make sure.
to. No.
We're just saying that your driveway in the future might become a road. So it's gonna, you know, it needs to be this wide. Now, you don't have to make it that wide, but you have to leave the room for in case they want to do it later.
And I think that's when we go back to, we talk about the health unit and some of those requirements with respect to how big a servitude they want if you got a sewer treatment plant. You know, so I think we gotta look at some and make sure that we're consistent throughout, you know, and, because I know that at some point in time, after this thing, when one of my children wanna build a house, I gotta go cut a piece of property out. You know what I'm talking about? And I gotta create access to that property through some servitude, because the utilities got to be run, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And so, you know, and of course, where we're doing, there's no community sewer system, so there are gonna be individual mechanical sewer treatment plants, you know, throughout
Mhm.
there, so I've gotta make sure that I have access that meets health department requirements, but, you know, I don't want people in trying to create a situation to help other people within the parish get their road graded, create a situation to make me do something that I don't want. You know, I'm not interested in naming my road. This is really ultimately gonna be a
driveway.
driveway.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't wanna get it confused.
Yeah, I think
I
that
think
would
the
be
only
right.
thing I was saying was, if you put a driveway down, you can make it half a car wide if you want to,
But
if
you
it's
need to
just
be
your house.
You need to be prepared
Yes.
to.
Yeah.
But you need to be prepared to, if, when you put the second house in, and you're staring at a whole bunch of other land, you know, that you say that you're gonna chop up, you know, just for future's sake, we have to make this, we have to leave enough room for your property, I guess essentially will start where you have enough room to, if you wanna make the road, the road or driveway / road in the future, the correct width to where it can meet this criteria right here if it ever needs to.
Yes.
You know, you can go, well, we got enough room, let's just do it. Or, you know, but if you don't have the room,
So
you
to
can't
do
create
what
it.
we're trying to do tonight, it's very simple. I thought it was gonna be very hard to do. What we would do is just make a subset that says if you've got a gravel road, it's got 5 residences on it, yada, yada, it can be taken into parish maintenance, not to be put on the overlay list,
Yeah.
only
just-
to be maintained as a gravel road.
Well, that's just-
Here's the issue. These are concerns I have, and is that I got no issue with courtesy grades, and I know sometimes, you know, you can go out there and roll all the dirt up in the world you want to. If there's no gravel there, you wasting, everybody's time. But at the same time, you've seen it, Shane, you probably have in your district, I've seen it in my district, I'm sure everybody has them. You've got this road that runs back there, that there isn't any drainage. You know what I'm talking about? I'm gonna tell you what, I remember one time, this was probably 7, 8 years ago, I went and looked at this lot in Watson. And literally, I'm gonna tell you, thank goodness I was in a 4-wheel drive going to look at it, because basically all they did was just lay gravel on top of grass.
Oh, yeah, I've seen
And,
it.
and they went over, down through swells and over bumps, just laid it down.
Mr. Mack?
With no consideration, for, other than they just were getting people back to look at this lot. And I don't want that particular driveway, or whatever road, whatever you call it, so for us to all of a sudden have to go in there
And
and
rebuild the whole thing.
have to start cutting drainage. I think I think we need to have a very minimal outline of
I
what,
agree. That's why I was saying it
if
could
we're
be
gonna
very
do it,
simple.
what we will do.
I agree.
Because of course the road tax is coming up in November, and there's a couple ways to look at this.
Yeah.
And it's on everybody's mind that there are people that live on these roads that feel like, I live on a private road, I'm not getting any benefit of the parish tax. Well, heck, you pretty much drive everywhere else you go, you drive on a parish road or state. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
So I don't necessarily agree with that, but I do understand the ability from a public safety aspect, that you have something that, the ambulance can get down, or the fire truck can get
Yep.
down, or, the sheriff's office can get down if there's an issue.
Right.
But I think it's a slippery slope we're on. I think it's very important that we
And I
limit-
agree. I
that
agree.
we limit
What can be
to,
done to
to a
those roads?
minimal thing what can happen to these roads. And we might even have to put a limitation on the value of gravel or whatever, so that we're not rebuilding roads. You know what I think it's very important, because there are a ton of people in this parish that live on roads that were, properly put in, would have proper addresses, in
Absolutely.
the maintenance system, that feel like, well, wait a second. Those people knew, they're gonna feel like I feel, that those people
Well-
knew what they were buying when they bought it, and you're using my tax dollars and when they really should be coming out of their pocket. And so, you gotta look at both sides. I just think that's the thing we gotta be most careful
It's
about.
gonna be a
And
balance.
I understand what you're saying. I just think that if you buy a home and it's on a gravel road, yes, you're buying a home on a gravel road, but do you really know that it's not a real road? It's just a private road?
Well, because all of these roads
know?
have signs on them, and some of mine that are not in the parish maintenance system have green or blue signs on them, not red signs that
Yeah, but I mean,
designate.
but
So,
you
no, I'm
know
just saying
that
for the-
though. How many people know
They say,
that?
oh, it's a sign, it's got a name,
There
it's a
tons-
road,
right,
they're gonna
there
fix the
tons-
road.
there are
Tons of people who don't know.
Yeah, they don't know.
And so,
And-
to say that you knew what you were getting, I think it is,
Well, I
you
think
know,
you
but
find that, oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Shane, did you?
Wow.
Oh, all right, go ahead. I'm sorry. I thought.
I was just listening.
I think, and I think we,
I got
I
something
think,
to say, but
I
when y'all
think the
finish.
council, I think the council clerks can speak to this. How many inquiries have y'all had where people are trying to buy something and the mortgage company wants you to prove that a road is in the parish maintenance system? You, for a person in my district, during the COVID, lockdown, had to access the system here from her private computer, log on off-site to research, to write a letter, to email to a guy to present to his mortgage company on a refi, to prove that that particular road is in the parish maintenance system. So I'm just saying it's, there is an avenue, and I think it's becoming more and more of an issue where some of these lower rates that people are getting, they're looking to make sure that those roads are in the maintenance system. And we gotta be careful not to mislead lenders by saying, oh, they're in this subset when they're really not in the maintenance system. I'm
Sure.
just saying that I think there's just a lot that we gotta look at, and we gotta be sure we get this right. So, I mean, I don't wanna be real quick about it. I mean,
But I understand.
I'm just bringing up the things that I've seen that,
That's why we
that we
discussed
need to look at,
Yeah.
you know, different avenues.
So,
Shane?
Very, very good points, everybody. I just was looking at a couple of things, you know, and I was looking at some of the things that I thought was important for us to take a look at, maybe here, or maybe do research later. Some of them I think Scooter was talking about. Under 5813, you know, it talks about number one, the 5 residential structures. Number 2, gravel or asphalt roads having 60-foot of right-of-way for open ditches, 50-foot for closed subsurface drainage stuff. I mean, to me, I don't have a problem with either one of those, to be honest with you. I think in order to maintain it properly and to dig the ditches so that the water drains off the road properly, if in any way possible, you probably need a 60-foot right-of-way. I mean, most people, I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you wanted the parish to maintain the road and maintain the ditches, I mean, I don't know. Y'all tell me what y'all feel, how y'all feel about that. I mean, you would probably need 60-foot of right-of-way. The people on the road would need to be,
But
they'd have to.
I mean, because
they
if
would
you
have
look
to
at
be
that, they're
willing
saying
to
a
donate
20-foot
that.
road bed, do you really need 20 feet on each side of that to maintain the ditch?
Well, you have to think about,
They're only cleaning it from the road, they
well,
ain't
but you
cleaning it
got,
from the
if
yard.
it's parish, you gotta think about all the things that go along with a parish road, you know? So parish, you gotta have utilities.
Yeah, but
We're not
Yeah.
talking about changing any of this though. That's where we're back to that. We're just, I mean, am
Well,
I
no, I
missing
was
something
talking,
here?
I thought I heard Scooter say a few things, you know, and I wanted to talk about a few of these. I mean, what do you mean you didn't wanna change some of this? I mean, this, to me, in order to change it, you gotta change this section, because to me, this is the criteria for accepting existing roads into the parish maintenance system.
Yeah,
So,
but see, we're
That's
not-
why we'd have
but
to
I
have a
think-
subset
I
that
think
didn't
what
mess
we-
with that.
I think what we're talking about doing, Shane,
It's
is
just grading
not changing any of this. I think that if I'm, and Tracy, just tell me if I'm wrong, I think what Tracy's intent is to create a different standard of road.
and-
Not a B, and C that's outlined here, you know, subset D, which is technically a road that we know does not meet the parish maintenance system. You know, it technically can never be in the overlay program, and basically will be limited to courtesy grades and gravel, period.
Period. That's
No
it.
upgrades whatsoever.
But what if it's a parish road? I mean.
It's
what
not.
about
We're not talking about parish road, we're talking about.
But it would be a parish road if you accepted into the
So-
drainage
Under
system
subset.
under
Not if-
section D or whatever you created.
Not if we create.
But what if somebody wanted the road ditch dug out? I mean,
Tough.
no?
That's a
No.
tough, it's, see, that's where I'm,
It
you're
snowballs.
opening Pandora's box.
Yeah.
To
If
me,
we,
if you take it into the maintenance system and you want to maintain it properly so that you don't, you gotta, if there's a road ditch that needs to be dug out, you gotta dig it out.
But see, you looking at it from the
And drain
standard
it and drain the
of,
road.
we're gonna
So
make
that
it,
people can travel on.
But we're not
But we're not
accepting
trying
it
to
on
make
this
it a-
standard.
we're just trying to make, to help those persons living on those roads. I'm okay if we don't take any of them in. Cause I've been telling people for 4.5 years, no. You
Well,
live on a private road.
And to be
I
But
mean,
honest,
if the council decided to do something, it would be the very minimum. It ain't fixing your ditches, it's not doing anything but grading the road, and maybe putting a little rock on it. That's what you're gonna get.
I'm sure you've had it in your district. I know I've had it in my district, and I've been guilty of making the phone call. I'll admit it in front of everybody. Like, man, I got this road, I know it's not in the maintenance system, but it is terrible, and these poor people are tearing their cars up trying to get to the street. Is there any way, when the motor patrol's in that area, you can go knock the tops down? You know what I'm talking about? I mean, I've made the phone call.
I agree, yeah.
And they've actually gone out and worked on the road. Is that technically legal? I don't know. But what we're looking at doing here, is creating a subset of road that Sam and them can feel comfortable about going out, doing a little maintenance on. You know what I'm saying?
Not
That's-
upgrading it, not fixing the
I
drainage,
think-
just fixing the road bed so
I-
it's serviceable.
I think that's what we're looking at doing. I mean,
yeah, and that's all we're
That's
looking
all.
at doing.
Yep.
Because I'm I'll be honest with you, I don't have many of this.
No, but you have some.
I have
know there's
some, but
there.
I don't have many.
Nope.
And by and large, it's not an issue for me.
Right. That's what you should
Let me
say.
put it that way. By and large, it's not an issue for me. I'm just trying to help
The areas
the
that do have
areas
an
that
issue.
do have an issue.
Right.
And I'm presenting it tonight
For discussion.
yeah, for discussion.
That's right.
So I would say be careful what you wade off into, because you might wind up with nothing.
Yeah, because, well, and I think
I
Shane,
think we're just talking through it. I mean, think about it like this. I mean, I respect y'all's point of view, but think about it like this. Y'all know a lot about gravity drainage districts. I know you have them in your area. You know, and a lot of that ties into road drainage, right? Lateral drainage, road drainage, and what people think about, you know, when it comes to maintaining roads.
They think about
What
the
do they
roads.
want, the council, the Department of Public Works, you know? We grade roads, we patch holes. Yes, there's certain criteria that roads have to meet, you know, overlay requirements and get overlaid, you know, and there's a score in this and all that
We
type of
stick to
stuff. But
that.
when we're talking about maintaining roads, in order to maintain a road, I mean, if the road's got, I mean, depends on how the drainage goes. I mean, the property, I mean, the road,
I know
you might
exactly
need to
what you're
dig the road
saying.
ditch out, and if it was existing ditch,
But what about the culverts? What if the culverts aren't
well,
up to?
they're covered in a whole different section, and it says that the parish council wouldn't be responsible for purchasing culverts and stuff like that, and it's still in, you know, there's a whole culvert installation program.
I mean, but
you
see,
know?
that's what they're talking about.
then
It
it's
doesn't,
not-
it wouldn't have to be rewritten.
But let's say you go down this road and it needs everybody has put a culvert at a different level, okay?
Which is every road. in
Because
my
over
area.
time, okay, it doesn't meet any of the standard. But it's a gravel road that just needs grading and some gravel. We can't put the gravel on there now. We can hit it. That's all. Okay? Mr. Sam, that's what he's comfortable with. We can send someone out and spread what's there. That's all they can do. Okay, so, well, but this part of the road is going underwater all the time because the ditch needs cleaning out. Okay? Like you're saying.
To
And
get
that's
it-
why it keeps tearing up right there.
To get it to the lateral, that type of stuff.
But how many miles would they have to dig that road ditch to get that water off of the road? And all they can dig is between the culverts. They're all set too high. Okay? So to get the water off, so it's gonna snowball, Shane, so we can't include that.
If that's the case, what you're saying, you follow the program that's already written.
I know, and you send
And
them
the
a letter,
property
say
owners,
change it,
the
get the
property
culvert
owners
off.
would be responsible for purchasing the culvert. We would treat it just like any other culvert on any other road. I'm just saying that's something to think about.
Well, I know, it is.
It's not really snowballing. All we're doing is digging.
Well, it's gonna snowball.
road ditch.
Yeah, I see 'em.
I think the issue is,
I mean, somebody's got to take care of the drainage. When you got a gravity drainage district,
landowner.
they take care of off-road drainage. I mean, the landowners ain't got no track to go out there and dig that road ditch.
Well, they're gonna have to hire somebody. They
well,
bought it without
I
drainage.
just, I'm just gonna tell you from my point of view. I mean, and I don't.
But we're talking about just maintaining here.
This is no disrespect, just to anybody, because, I mean, my area is significantly different than your area with respect to, you know, roads that aren't in the maintenance system versus roads that are. And so, but I have, and you know, because you and I have battled on several occasions, I have been very conscientious about respecting what roads meet the criteria and what's in the maintenance system and defending the maintenance system. And I am willing, and I am willing, if we come up with a subset of road with a very minimum amount of maintenance to support it. However, if we're gonna branch off into drainage and all kind of stuff with respect to that, I'm gonna have to punt. I mean, I'm not
I
going
agree.
to.
Well, and I hear you. So let me just say something real quick. If it's my turn.
Okay.
So, you made a very valid statement. You know, I've been pretty set in a certain way on parish. I mean, not accepting roads into the parish maintenance system that didn't meet the criteria. So that's what I was thinking we were going to talk about, was the criteria and what was going to be in section D. I mean,
Section D would be easy.
A lot of the roads that we would like to accept in meet this criteria. When you talk about criteria, you're talking about, they got open road ditches. Now, they may or may not be 20 feet wide, but majority of them have the 3 inches of asphalt. I mean 3 inches of washed gravel in a good hard base. They've been there for a while. Some of them, a lot of them in my area do. They were the old, maybe a logging road or something.
A lot of them were
and
logging roads and
A lot of
stuff
people
like that.
built in, and then they already have open ditches, you know what I mean? So they, I don't know, do we want to go with 16 feet wide, or do we not even want to talk about that in this section D?
I don't think Section D should have any requirement like that. It should,
No width requirement in any way, shape, or form?
it's just so we can hit it and get out of
And
there.
maybe put some gravel down.
That's all.
And make the road passable for
The people that live
people
on it.
in the district.
So let
No
me ask,
upgrade,
so
no
let me
nothing.
ask you a question. So when we're talking about roads in your district, you talk about, okay, let's just road F. You got road F, that's an old logging road, and now it's got a bunch of people living on it. It's got drainage, and it's got, you know, there's always one or two little things that are causing you grief. You know what I'm talking about? Have you kind of analyzed, looked at road F to figure out what the problem road F is, and then gone and looked
I have, and I'll tell you this.
what's the biggest problem?
Majority of them already have open ditches, not all of them, and those that wouldn't, well, you wouldn't go dig a ditch, maybe there's another way that the road drains already, right? It just depends. I've seen paved roads that don't have ditches on each side, maybe it runs down the road and then drains to a lateral or something, but majority of them have the open ditches. Might not meet the 20-foot wide criteria, but they've got a pretty solid base, and they've got a pretty sufficient amount of gravel on them. I think where you run into trouble, and I circled it, is when you start to talk about the cul-de-sac and the T-turnaround. When you start to talk about, let's see, the mineral rights thing, number 6, I would like to get y'all's opinion on, or somebody that knows the answer to the mineral rights. What's the purpose of signing the mineral rights over?
Because the parish
I
owns
really
the
don't-
property now. They want everything.
I don't know, but is that absolutely necessary to maintain it? I don't know. I'm
Helps-
asking.
helps- helps pay
It's
for
got to
some
be
of
a
the
specific
road
reason. It's got to be a specific reason why that's in there. A lot of property is sold without giving mineral rights over, or maybe the mineral rights ain't given over until a certain period of time. Does anybody have
I
any
think it
knowledge
says
of that?
if they're there, then they become the parish's mineral
Well-
rights. But if they're not there, then there's nothing you can do
It's
about it.
probably more done more if there ever did find anything in that area. Now, the property owner would be saying,
Here's the
hey, I
thing.
want to do this, and meanwhile, the parish is trying to build a road there. They're just saying, no, you give up the right to that.
So
Well,
number
we've got-
6, Tracy, listen to this real quick. It says, number 6 says, complete ownership of land and mineral rights within the right-of-way shall be deeded to the parish.
Mhm.
That's one of them that people are probably gonna have a problem with.
I don't think so. I don't think
You talking about on the
anybody's-
subset? Well, that ain't gonna be in
It
there.
ain't gonna be part of it.
No, we're talking, I asked him a question. I asked him a
Okay.
question about
What the biggest problem?
problems he had.
Yeah, but have you heard people with a problem
Well,
with
I
that?
guess the deal is, Louisiana's kind of different on mineral rights. Like, in Mississippi, they completely separate from the property. You know what I'm talking about? There's a good chance if you go try to buy a piece of property in Mississippi, you ain't getting the minerals, and you ain't never gonna get the minerals. In Louisiana, without action, you know what I'm talking about? If I'm not
Yes.
mistaken, after a period of time, the
Yes.
minerals revert
The-
or
the new
move
owner.
to the new owner. So, in essence, I think the main thing is surface rights. I don't know that, I think ideally, if you're building a new subdivision, then you wanna say that that property on there belongs to the parish. I think in taking in roads that are existing, maybe that's not as important.
Right.
And if there's been no oil, if there's no, development within that block, then those are gonna revert or gonna go to the new owner at some point in time. But I think it is important that if you do that the parish maintains all surface rights to that property. You know what I'm talking about? Meaning that they can't come punch a hole in it at some point in time
Right,
later
that's
on
right.
and drill a well.
I
Yeah.
think that's why they do the mineral
I
rights.
think
so
that, I
they
mean, I
can-
think that's part of it, but I think that the issues that you particularly have are those, you know, those more rural districts tend to have with bringing roads in.
It is, and let me just.
They need to identify what are the biggest issues and see if there's wiggle room on those.
So,
You know what I'm
he
talking
had
about?
asked you that question.
So-
Was that the main thing you would think would be an issue, or?
Well, it would, sometimes the width is an issue of the actual road,
Right.
but,
Well, and I'm gonna tell you, we,
Sometimes
and
they're
then,
always.
and then the
Hell.
T-turnaround thing, you know, it's, that's a pretty big requirement. If you go back to, what is it, 125-17B8 or something, it talks about the cul-de-sacs.
Yeah, how
I
big
think
you gotta
Lawrence-
be?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a pretty big one. And then
55.
number 6, the ownership and deeding the property over. I mean, I don't know how
Well,
some would feel
I mean-
about that. And then number 8, the minimum of 1,056 feet, you know, and then the property owners must provide to the parish a complete survey of the road right away to be dedicated. I mean, I don't know if, once it was dedicated, I don't know how that would work. I mean, can we just get it dedicated and then just pull the survey out
I think,
from the court's office? I mean, why?
I think ultimately, if the parish grew some or made some changes, like right now, we don't have a parish engineer. If we had a parish engineer on staff with a survey crew, we could accommodate some of these things that need to be done. You know what I'm talking about? We could work on some of these problems. Shane, look,
Just tell me
the
real quick
distance,
what y'all
the
were thinking
distance
again.
thing, the distance thing was some arbitrary, you know, like the
Yeah.
600 feet or
Remember,
whatever.
it's a fifth of a mile. And they said, we just went with a fifth of a mile. I
I
said,
mean,
okay.
you know, those kids that live on that road, they having to walk to the street, they having to walk to the highway anyway. So, you know, I understand the fire truck requirement, but are you telling me that the fire truck not gonna drive down that road anyway?
No, they're gonna go back there.
I mean, they going, if a house
Yeah.
is burning at the back of it, they say, oh, you don't have a turnaround, I'm not going back there?
No, they'll back out as opposed to a bus who's gonna have to make that trip twice
Yeah.
a day.
Well,
5 days a
and
week.
so I
Yeah.
think
That fire
that-
truck
but
maybe
I-
once in a lifetime.
I
Yeah.
think the new
Yeah.
requirement for, you know, if we build a new road, then
I
if it's
like it.
more than 600 feet, you gotta have a turnaround, cause we're not gonna make those kids walk. But heck, those kids have been living on the back of that road, been walking to that highway
Yeah, it
forever.
ain't about
What's it
any of
matter
that.
if it's in the
It's-
parish maintenance system
it's-
or not?
it's not
You
about
know what
any
I'm
of
saying?
So I guess to answer your question that you asked,
Tell me what
was
you're
this.
saying.
This is what, I'm gonna try to speak for at least 3 of us.
From what you've heard.
Yeah, the only changes we're gonna make to this, the road, the ordinance is to put a D, and it says, if there's, I guess, more than 5 houses, or whatever number we come up with.
Five or more.
5 or more, it doesn't matter,
It's gotta be named.
yeah, which is a simple thing, then we will go in, we will grade it, and we'll put some gravel down
As necessary.
as necessary to make your road
Passable.
road that you live on passable, where you can get in and out. That's the
all.
only thing.
Not
that was it.
upgrading it, not making it
And
perfect.
then,
Just-
then I think,
Okay, so-
if, for the C, B, and A that currently exist, that's been quote untouchable since the petition was passed, I think that those councilmen in those rural districts that really have issues, that what are the stumbling blocks? We could sit down and figure out, are those stumbling blocks that are stopping these roads from coming in, you know, are they significant on an existing road? Or is it something we need to build on a new road? Meaning the T-turn or the cul-de-sac. I understand why we would not put a road in now without a cul-de-sac in it. I understand that. However, if we've got a road that's, you know, however long, half a mile long, quarter mile long, fifth of a mile long, and the people that have been residing on it are walking to the highway anyway, then how important is a cul-de-sac or T-turn on that existing road?
Yeah, I agree.
You
Well,
mean,
wait a
so what
second,
you're
wait a
saying-
second, Dunn Road, is Dunn Road, no, Linder,
You talking-
which road is it you just told us is out the?
Mathern.
No, out the MPO.
Oh, Linder Road,
Linder.
the one at the meeting Thursday night?
Yeah, okay, so Linder Road is a road that we were gonna make 20 foot wide.
With a 1 foot poured shoulder on each
You know
side.
what I'm saying? We're talking about a road that
Major
if it was in the
Yep.
MPO, we were gonna make it 20 foot wide. We're talking about a road that's in the maintenance system, that's asphalt, it's a major thoroughfare, that's not 20 foot. Now, you know what I'm saying? So the question is, if you got a gravel road or some road that's 18 foot wide, you know, that's been there for years and people are having to maintain it, how big a deal is it that that road's 18 foot and not 20?
Well, every
If,
road
you know what I'm
there
saying,
is
if we
18,
got
so-
if we have tons of roads in the parish now that are technically in the maintenance system built to standard that are friggin' 18 foot wide. I mean, you see, I think what we gotta do, Shane, in lieu of trashing the whole deal, is we need to figure out what are the stumbling blocks? And are the stumbling blocks so significant to stop a road from coming in, or on an existing road we're bringing in with a certain number of people, can we modify the standard to bring that road in? And I'm saying that because is an 18 foot road is an 18 foot wide road that big a deal? Versus ideally, we're gonna build them all 20 from now on, but we've got some that are currently being maintained that are 18.
Lots.
You know, is the fact that it's missing a turnaround in the back stopping us from, you know, they've been dealing with this forever. The fire trucks been dealing with forever, you know, whatever, is that
Garbage
significant
trucks,
enough?
everything,
to
yeah.
stop?
So,
I think that's what we gotta do. We gotta figure out what's, you know, okay, so with the parish doesn't own the minerals under the road, but they might own them in 5 years. You know what I'm talking about? I mean, we gotta figure out what's significant in there and what can be overlooked and what can't be.
so is it possible for us to compile a list of those roads like you're talking about in our parish that may dead end, they're only 900 feet long, 18 feet wide, they're gravel, they have ditches, they have enough servitude? Could we compile a list and see what is most deficient on those sets of roads to where we could maybe make an exception on a road that's been there 30 years, you know, to get it overlaid?
But I also think
It's got 50 people that houses on it.
we should, but that's off point.
Oh, no, I agree.
I was just saying,
I understand, yeah.
It's off point.
No, we're just saying,
Yeah.
because that's what Shane, we've been talking about this for 4 years. So what we're trying to work on tonight is just those gravel roads that we want to just fix them. The other stuff we're gonna have to work on for another year, or 3, or 10, or how long to get it
Well,
fixed.
no, I mean, I think that tonight we're trying to figure out how to make a courtesy grade legal. I mean,
Yep.
that's ultimately what this
That's
is about. We're
it.
trying to figure out how to
Essentially,
make a
that's what it
courtesy
is.
grade
So,
legal.
because you know how many don't get done because it's not legal? And you're
Well,
also talking
legal.
about putting some gravel down
Legal.
and helping people who've been paying into the tax system at least get their gravel road graded and maintained.
And that'll fix one issue. Then
Yeah,
we'll
okay.
have to move to the next issue.
Okay.
All right.
In section D, I know this ain't written already, I
Yeah.
know you need time
Sure.
to think,
Yeah.
to plan, and
Hypothetical section
tweak,
D,
and then
yeah.
you're gonna have to ask a few people some questions to
Some
make sure
legal,
that
Yeah.
we're okay, but what are you thinking at this moment in time as the criteria should be? I mean, it goes back to what Gary was saying.
5 houses, or more.
I think we need to have a density thing. Because here's the deal, you could end up with a road that's 300 foot long with 4 houses on it, doesn't qualify, which makes no sense. And you can end up with a road that's a half a mile long with 5 houses on it that qualifies. And you're gonna spend way more money on that half a mile road than you are on that, 300 or 400 foot road.
That's a good
So,
point.
I
Good
mean,
point.
we maybe need to look at some density to length. You know what
Yeah.
I'm talking about? But every so many, if the roads, every 100 foot you gotta have, every 200 foot, every 400 foot you gotta have a resident. You gotta come up with some requirement,
Well,
instead of.
I know there's some in some districts that are 2 miles long with 20 houses on them that are a logging road, and we can't fix that road. That's just too much.
You understand what I'm saying, Shane? I think the first thing is we gotta come up with, how do we determine that it's, you know, is it a density thing? Is it a number of residents? We gotta come up with that. It's gotta be named, and it's gotta have some kind of servitude on it. You know what I'm talking about? Because ultimately, all those roads, every road that's been subdivided at some point in time in the future, there is a servitude, there's a right of way, an easement access, there's something that we've got to identify what's in there. You know what I'm talking about?
Right.
It gives us permission
Right.
to go in and do work on that. I think the criteria got to be limited
You
to
want to
just
be
that.
authorized to enter the property and do the work.
Yeah.
Yeah, so ultimately, you know, once the person in the back is granted an easement or access or whatever, that's really a public easement through there. You know what I'm saying? So I think we just gotta define.
Yeah, I think that would make it easier. And once they name a road, wouldn't that be something we could just, woo? You know, if a road is named, a named road, wouldn't that be one of the criteria? The named road would almost automatically make it that you have right of,
I don't know about that one.
you know what I'm saying? I mean,
But I think those are the three things. We gotta have
You got
some,
a dedicated servitude.
we gotta have servitude.
of whatever distance, it's kind of rough, but right now.
Yeah.
And we'll talk more.
Density.
You gotta have some kind of density requirement or whatever. What was the other
That's
one? I mentioned something else.
I think that's about it.
Density.
Name. It's gotta be named.
Oh, it's gotta be
Yeah,
named.
gotta be named. I think those are the three things we gotta start with.
Yeah,
And then
I
if we
can
think
get
of
to that
something else,
pretty
we'll
easy.
figure out.
If we need
But-
to add something or legal comes
And
up with
it's
something.
limited to grading and grading the road, basically putting some gravel if they need it. And we might very well have to come up with some dollar amount on limits at the time, because, you know, you end up with a 2 mile long road, you might have to put $10,000 worth of gravel on it, or, you know, and I think we gotta limit.
But I think if you do
I
the
think the density
density,
would cure that.
because, I mean, if there's enough houses on it, $10,000 is a fair
Yeah,
amount.
I I just think he's gotta come up with some density requirement on the road and,
So that's a good start.
Yeah.
Okay,
but I think that's where you gotta go to create that
let's fix
subset
that.
D.
Let's get those criteria in the next few weeks in motion.
Yeah.
We
And
good?
then I think the rest of that stuff you
Got
wanna
a few
talk
things
about,
in mind for that.
I think the rest of that
Does it work?
stuff you wanna talk about, I think we all have understood it over, you know, we 4.5 years into this thing now.
Yeah.
I think we've seen it over and over and over again. And I think at some point in time, we're just gonna have to figure out that on a new road, we want it perfect. You know what I'm
Yep.
talking about? But some of these roads that people have lived on for years, is some of those requirements a wish list or are they necessary? And if they're not necessary, then maybe we need to look at create two criteria.
Okay.
A criteria for a new road and a criteria for bringing in an existing one.
Now, on that, I wanted to get your opinion, because I'm not sure, kind of on subject, but not really, I guess. We were talking about if someone has a piece of property, like you're saying, and you want to subdivide it, do you have a problem with the second house going on it? Then you have to make it for where your driveway at some point in the future will become a road?
I think that we need to look at whatever easement you put on there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about? At some point in time, when some density requirement hits,
Yep.
you know, like,
But if you don't do it at the beginning,
well,
you know-
here's the deal. I'm planning on having 4 residences
Gotcha.
on this 6.75 acres, me and 3 kids. You know what I'm talking about? That's my plan. At some point in time, you know, I'm gonna pass, and they're gonna be 3 kids living there with a house up front. They're gonna wanna sell it. You know what I'm talking about? Or something, and that, it becomes a problem, you know?
Mhm.
But, you know, I don't mind putting a right of way of a certain size through there. But until I name that road and want it in that system, I want that right of way private.
Oh, yeah, it would be.
Yeah.
No
You know what
way
I'm
we
talking about?
could, no
Until-
way we should
until-
ever
Sure.
enforce that.
Yeah, I
on
think,
somebody.
but I
So
think.
you don't have a problem with the requirement as long as it's private,
As long as
understanding
I determine when it is a
Understood.
public right of
Okay.
way and when it is a private right.
All right, we good?
Okay,
All right.
move on.
Item B, discussion of Chapter 70 Utilities, Article V, Article 5, Sewage Disposal Systems, Division 2, Private Section 70-263, General Requirements of the Code of Ordinances in and for the Parish of Livingston.
Hey, I got something to say about this.
All right.
I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about it. Here's the deal. Technically, you should have your sewer treatment plant certified every 2 years. That's kind of according to state law. You know what I'm saying? And if you have your sewer treatment plant certified every 2 years, then Kenon's office over there has a copy of your certification. And they will never come out to your piece of property if they look that address up and see that thing's been certified. You follow what I'm talking about?
Yes.
So as a owner of property, if I've got it in the rental system, you know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
If I maintain that certification every 2 years and never let it expire, it doesn't matter if I get a new renter every month. When they go over there, that certification is there, and they'll sign off on that deed. So I think a lot of the problems that people are having is because they're not handling their business. You know what I'm saying?
So you're saying it because it's different, is it different for renters?
No,
Is
it's
it-
the same thing. Here's the deal. Okay, Scooter, you got a septic tank, you got a sewer treatment plant. Scooter's sewer treatment plant been in there, how long you been in that house?
20 years.
20 years. Guess what? Nobody has been to look at that thing in 20 years. It might not have an aerator hooked up. It might be full to the top and water running in and out the other side, not treating nothing. You understand what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
But it's been there 20 years. Until that property changes or a new permit needs to be pulled for electrical, that thing's gonna sit like that. You know what I'm talking about?
Mhm.
Now, if Scooter and Kay sell it, the new owner, guess what? He has to show that that thing's up to standard, it's recertified, before he can utilize it. Politically, nobody wants to make everybody in the parish have their stuff certified every 2 years, right? Nobody wants to do that, even though it's state law. But what we have done, because of the MS4 and all that other stuff, we've turned the sewer part of that thing over to the state. And so our requirement says, if you come to get your lights turned on, you either have a mechanical sewer treatment plant or you've hooked to community system, right? We know those that are hooked to community systems, they're good. We just give them the check off. But if you've got a mechanical sewer treatment plant, you gotta go get the health department to sign off on it. Now, if you followed state law and you've had it recertified every 2 years, when they type that address in Kenon's office, they sign off on it right then. You good to go. They're never coming to that address to look because it is technically approved. Because it's only gotta be recerted every 2 years. Now, if you don't recert it, don't keep it up to date, you know what I'm talking about? They're coming out to inspect. And then when they inspect it, it doesn't work, then you gotta go get it fixed, you dragging the whole thing out. If a property owner does what he's supposed to do, the system works flawlessly.
But I'm not sure that what I was being told was if you have a rental property, someone comes in, you get it certified, they move out 6 months later, the next people have to get it certified again.
That's what
I
was
mean,
happening.
That's what's happening.
No, that's what was
not-
happening.
I don't think it's happening anymore, is it, Shane? I think now, after that little meeting, that the certification's in, so
As long as
if they type in,
Oh, I don't have a problem
I think they type in the address. If it's got a good cert, within 2 years,
proceed.
boom, proceed.
Well, if that's the case, then
I mean,
what you're saying is true, then this is moot.
The only issue,
Right,
Let me ask you this. I know y'all know way more about it than me, but when It was just a polite thing.
I know.
Started off, you know. So, say for instance, just an example, you got a piece of property and it's a rental piece of property and you had it inspected, right? It's been a year or 9 months goes by, change of ownership, and then the people go to get their lights turned on, right? Well, they go to our permit office and you know, apply for the permit or whatever, and then they send them over to the health department, to the best of my knowledge, and then they're charging the people for some type of an inspection, maybe, I don't know, a couple $100 or something, or some type of fee associated with the work that they're performing, right?
Well,
The health department, our health department, the
I
health
don't
department.
think the health department charges anything.
I don't think so.
We charge a inspection.
We're charging, right.
We charge an inspection fee.
But he's saying that 9 months after the initial inspection,
Yeah, so,
they shouldn't be doing anything except sign
Well, he
off.
said,
I
but
think-
change of ownership, so that might make it,
No,
see, what's
the
hap- it's
criteria-
triggering-
the
it's
criteria
triggering-
is-
It's triggering some type of inspection at the present time, or some type of process for the health department to look up the information, and it's a fee associated with that, and it's a pretty hefty fee.
so you're not talking about when it changes from renters. You said
Well, I'll change
ownership.
it.
Okay, change
Or-
renter.
well-
I'm renting it, 9 months later, I move out, new renter moves in.
Electricity gets
If
swapped
they've got
over.
one within 2 years, it should be on file, and they don't have to do anything.
Well,
What's
I'm
the
trying-
fee?
I'm
What I was trying to
find-
do-
We need to make sure that's what's happening.
Yeah, well, what I would like to see, if possible, you know, is if they could avoid whatever fees associated with that, right? Say for instance, you go to the permit office and they punch it in the system and it has been inspected recently, right, within the 2-year period. What's the fee associated with
Shouldn't be any.
I don't, I
with
thought.
that type of thing? Do we have to pay a permit? Do you have to pay, I don't know, $100, $200 to?
I don't think the health
No.
department, I'm
What
thinking
if-
the health department doesn't charge anything. I gotta find, I wish I had, I don't think I still have that email. I think I purged it.
When I was,
Let's
when I-
check on that.
I had,
Yeah.
that, do you have the records of that meeting when we had the criteria we talked about? Remember, it was not long after the election when Randy wanted Keenan and them to come, and I had the criteria of what triggered an inspection that I had asked.
Standard operating?
Is
Yeah,
it the standard
yeah,
operating procedure?
yeah.
Do you have that for the health unit?
I remember when you talked about the SOP, and
They have it.
They're triggering an inspection now. We need that document that you're talking about. I might have a
Oh, I
document.
got it
in the car.
right here. I got it right here, I found it.
Okay.
SOP is on my phone. Okay. Electrical request SOP. Is the power on or off?
Off.
Okay, power off. Release if inspected less than a year. If it's greater than a year since inspection, needs service receipt, recert unless recorded service receipt and recert within 2 years. So the deal is, if everything goes to recert 2 years, if you keep your recert up every 2 years, you never trigger them coming to your place of it, coming to your residence. That's the deal. Home safe.
And is it the same cost associated?
There's no, it's the research that's what's cost the money. The health unit actually doesn't charge the money, and the health unit doesn't do the research. You have to hire an outside person approved by the health unit to do the
do
research.
the research.
And I will just tell you, typically a research about 500 because everybody that does a research makes you pump them out.
So the only issue you have is if somebody's having to pay 100 or 200 to,
Well, let's take a look at this.
Okay, so let's look at electrical request SOP. Power on. Release if inspected in less than a year.
Do we have a state or parish record? That's going to probably be no majority of the time.
yeah, and they actually
Well,
did that to me on a
Then it
house
says
I
go
bought.
inspect, and then they're charging you to go inspect.
They didn't charge me
If
anything.
I'm wrong
Look,
though, tell me.
yeah, you're wrong, because I bought a house that I was gonna flip. Electric was off. Flipped it on, Kay came out, got the permits to rebuild the house. They
What-
said, well, we gotta check your sewage. You got a MODAD? Yeah, I do. The next day, they sent somebody out. I saw the lady come. She went, pulled the cover off, made sure the pump was running. You're good to go. No, didn't, they didn't charge.
That's the issue. I mean, that's the issue is that
So they're sending somebody out to go inspect though,
the health unit.
every time, if it's a change of electrical request SOP, right or wrong,
They
if
did,
the electricity's off.
if the electricity's off.
Yeah.
But
You
they're
see,
not,
that's the
but they're
part I
not
wanted to
sending them,
change. To
they're
me-
not sending somebody from another company. The parish
No,
or the
it's the health department. from
The
here.
health department
Yeah.
goes
And see
out.
what happens, Tracy, is this. You only have a handful, let's just say handful of inspectors. You have a huge parish. And the time it's taken the parish inspectors to go out is a very delayed process. So what I was thinking, just thinking, and I actually had mentioned this to one of the state, Department of Health supervisors, is maybe we could kind of change that part of the process to say, hey, if the electricity's been turned off and you're applying for it to be turned back on over a certain period of time, like maybe 90 days, then it doesn't automatically trigger an inspection.
But I don't necessarily.
You mean so they don't have to wait?
So you don't have to wait.
Yeah, I got
and-
lucky, I guess.
And you don't have to wait. You can get it turned on immediately. Like if you're a renter, you're ready to move, right? You know what I mean? And in addition to that, it's not routine inspections. Like they're calling out the people that perform the sewer inspections on the actual tank that are requesting the pump outs and stuff. They don't have to go out either because there's no actual physical inspection. You see what I'm saying? Now I'm not saying that we can't, that they can't still follow state law and go do a routine inspection every 2 years or anything to that nature in any way, shape, or form. All I'm really kind of saying is what I feel like I understood is that right now, the way this is written, it automatically triggers an inspection by our health department folks, and there's a fee associated with that, and there's a time delay associated with that. And when you're renting property and somebody, you pay your rent and you're trying to go ahead and move, a lot of times if it's holidays or,
Yeah, they won't
things
turn
of that
electric on
nature.
until
I
they get
mean,
those.
it's Friday. You just paid your rent that Friday morning. You need it inspected that day. You ready to move in that weekend, and you can't.
Well,
You see what I'm saying?
There's no way to
think
get
about
around
that.
that.
Just think
I mean,
about
it's
it.
gonna happen.
Okay.
Well, a way to get around it would be, they can go inspect anytime they want, but we don't automatically trigger an inspection just because it's turning the lights off, unless the lights
Well-
if the lights have been off for less than 90 days.
here's the deal. That's all I'm gonna tell you. This is the only thing I've noticed about this is you're better off with the power off than you are with the power on.
Why you say that?
Well, because if the power's off,
They can't tell what a pump's
if
running.
the power's off, if you can produce a research that's less than 2 years old, they automatically sign off on it.
What if people lost
If the
their-
power's, well, yeah, but the researcher in Keenan's office.
If they've done their job right,
If you
they
get,
handle their
no,
business.
if you get your research and send it to him, it's on
No,
file.
I ain't talking about Kenon's office, I'm talking about the landowner.
But,
If
but,
they've
but
done
the
what they're
problem
supposed
is
to
if
do.
the power's on, then the research is only good for a year. And over a year, they go make sure the pump's running. And if you didn't go out and handle your business before the inspection and your renter unplugged the bodad pump on the way out the door, you gonna fail. And then you gotta get a research. The only issue I have is the power on research thing. If it's less than 2 years, it'll be less than 2 years everywhere.
Anyway, yeah.
But
Well, one thing to me is to me, well, I guess, I don't know, to me, there's
Who's
also
gonna-
an
who's
issue
gonna-
with the power
who's-
off. Because
who's gonna
if you
track
turned
it?
it off and it's only been off a week, What's the difference in being on or just being off for a week?
Who's gonna keep track of when it was RAS recertified? Who's gonna keep track of that?
The state that goes out and inspects on a periodic basis.
So we still gotta send them next door to Keynote. And the state has their
No, like
protocol.
Kenon and them have their own little process set up to
Okay, so.
routinely
Okay,
inspect.
so, no, that's not what I'm questioning. So I come in on Friday, which I'm screwed anyway because the parish permit office is closed. So I really gotta come in on Thursday, and I get the permit to turn my lights on. And the lights have been off from the previous tenant a month. Who knows that it's only been a month? Who has that record?
I would think the electrical company.
But Demco, they're not gonna track that stuff for us. I mean, so I come in to buy
The
a
permit
permit.
office would have to, I guess. in
The
some way,
permit
shape, or
office
form.
knows when the permit was sold, they don't know when the people moved out. I mean, I've thought about that particular thing, because we've kind of hashed that around about who determines, think about it. The permit office knows when they sold a permit to turn some lights on. They don't know when the people moved out. Neither does the health department. The health department knows when certifications were done. That's really all they keep, that's what they're tracking. They're tracking certifications. So they know if it's certified less than a year or less than
But
2 years.
doesn't our people communicate with their electrical company or give them some type of approval to go turn the electricity
We
back on?
send
and swap it
them
over?
a deal, but Demco ain't, so
So,
the issue is when, the only way I know when the power was turned off is if when you make the application, I then contact Demco. Demco answers the phone and they've got somebody free just to look up that address to figure out when the power was turned off. And so I'm gonna sit there at the permit office and wait for these people to communicate. Look, I was on hold yesterday with the Department of Labor for an hour and 4 minutes, and finally sent them an email, hung up, still haven't heard back from them. I'm just saying the practicality of not having the information within the office that's responsible for it and trying to access it somewhere else is not gonna really work.
I got one
maybe there's a
question on this.
database, I don't know.
The SOP,
They can just look it
is this Kenon's SOP or the
No, that's
parish?
parishes, that's parishes.
It's.
So
we can work on this.
We can work on
No,
this.
this is Kenon's SOP.
This is parish, we can work on this and change this. This is parish.
But it's pretty in-depth and it's real straightforward. If we put all the, if you cut it off and then if you didn't. and-
All I can tell you is that I've talked to the State Department of Health already about it, and they're willing to work with us if we can come up with a way, to make it work.
Okay.
It's,
The only thing I see about the deal is it shouldn't matter if the power's on or off. If you've got a 2-year certification, it shouldn't have to be re-inspected.
I agree, that sounds
True.
like the best way.
That's the only thing, and then consequently.
And then that leaves all
if
that out
I'm
of the door.
Then if I'm the owner of the rental property, it is my responsibility to, within the 2-year exemption or the expiration, get it recertified. And I know that every 2 years, I gotta spend $500 on it. That's just a cost I'm gonna pass along on my rental, and then I never have an issue. That's the only issue I see is that.
And neither does
why
your
are
renters,
people-
they don't
why-
have an issue.
Why are people that have power on held to a stricter criteria than people whose power has been turned off? That's the only issue I see with the whole thing. Is that if the power's on and I got a 2-year certification, you should roll with it.
and I think if the power's off, and it's been off less than 90 days, then the permit officer to go ahead and contact the electrical company and say, hey, turn it back on.
But the
Well,
only
then
way
I
for
don't-
them
let
to
them
know
move
that,
on in.
yeah.
Well, okay.
Still be a hold up of
so
some
here's,
kind.
so here's the question.
Not triggering an
So
inspection,
here's the question, Shane.
okay?
What if the thing's not in compliance? So we let them move in and then we go out and inspect it, it's not in compliance, we're gonna pull the meeting? Or we're gonna just keep letting them dump?
That was the point I was gonna make a while ago.
I mean-
You can get somebody to, if
it's
you
one-
force an inspection and it needs work, you can get it done
while they
And then
wait
we'll
on
turn
the-
your power on.
Yeah.
If you turn the power on, they're gonna be like, well, I got power. No. I mean, you know,
And-
what do? What's your
And
recourse?
you know darn good well that, and you and I, it's reality. Politically, you not gonna go pull a meter on somebody's house when they live in it. Not gonna do
Yeah,
it.
but it ain't politicians doing it.
Yep.
I mean, I'm
What is-
just, you know what I'm
Yeah, I
saying?
know what you're
mean,
saying. Yeah, that's a bad taste kind of deal there.
Well, I mean, if,
But look,
If
we'll
it's-
look at it. I mean, but the one thing I see on here is that if I got a good year if I got a good 2-year certification, and Keena, it should be on file in
On
Keenan's
our office,
office,
should, here.
and it
you
should
get-
go. If I walk in there and I give them my address, 33460 Marion, and they punch it in and say the certs within 2 years,
Here's your permit.
here's your letter.
Yeah. And that would eliminate most of the issue.
And then it's up
It
to
wouldn't
those.
eliminate
then it's
all
up-
the
then
issues,
it's up
because
to those-
sometimes-
Then it's up to those landlords to handle their business.
All right?
Good?
well, we're not voting on anything tonight.
No,
No,
we
no,
discussed it. We discussed it.
Yeah.
All right.
And we way more long-winded than we're supposed to
Anything
be.
further?
No, I just want to say one thing. You know, we did have a meeting with the Department of Health in Kenai, and I don't know what all level of state officials was in that meeting. You know, it was quite a few, and they were very cooperative, very professional, and they're very much willing to work with this parish to keep it environmentally friendly, safe, and abide by the, you know, standard operating procedures that we so set forth.
Yeah.
So,
But I agree with what Gary's saying. If you have it, if it's within the 2 years,
Shouldn't matter.
go.
Shouldn't matter on or off.
But I do believe that inspections are important, you know, and a lot of times the only time they get around inspecting it is whenever
Changes.
So-
changes, and then they go out
Listen,
there and they find out it hasn't been working for.
I did hear something disturbing the other day, and I'm gonna call. I was supposed to call today, and I got hung up. You know, if I've got a problem with raw sewer running somewhere, you know what I'm talking about, and I call. You know, right now, my understanding is that they make sure you're straight before they go look at somebody else.
I think
So-
that's off a
so-
little bit here.
I think that, you know, whether I'm in compliance or not, if I'm not dumping raw sewer that's not impacting somebody and you can visibly see raw sewer running out somewhere else, that's a health hazard that ought to be addressed. So I'm gonna try to go around that tomorrow by filing the complaint myself personally. You know, because,
Is that my complaint?
yeah,
Okay.
I mean,
I think, yeah.
I mean, I'm
I
gonna
mean, it's
file.
in your district,
I'm
but
gonna
yeah.
file the complaint personally and take the person who's lived in a house for 20 years,
Out of the
not been
equation.
recerted, you know what I'm talking about, out of the equation.
Because right now it triggers. I've called before. Somebody called me and said, "Look, I see raw sewage." They'll ask for the address of who called me, and I tell them, I said, "Why you need their address?" Because we'll make sure they're in compliance before I go. No, go get on to the people that's dumping the raw sewage.
So I'm gonna go make a ride by somewhere in the morning, look at it, and make a phone call.
I can see it
What?
running across their yard, and they
It's-
said,
it's-
"We're not
it's-
making them clean up anything.
It's
We're not
kinda
touching
like,
it
it's
till
kinda
you
like,
fix,
you know,
get yours started."
I'm gonna call and tell on you, well, you gonna make sure I'm straight before you go address you.
I mean,
But if I'm reporting an immediate health hazard with raw
Yeah.
sewer running across, so that should be problem.
This has been 4 months.
but I mean, if they called me and asked if I called in a complaint for from one of my constituents, and they said we need the address, I would be like, well, no.
That's what I told them. I said, no, just
No.
go get on to those people.
I just need you to go do your job.
Right.
Anyway, motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. King,
I'll second.
second by
Both of
Mr.
you?
Mack. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
good job, guys.
Y'all have a good Memorial Day.
Yeah.
Y'all too. I hope you don't catch nothing, Gary. No, I'm just kidding.
Dude, I'm gonna bring a couple, snapper season